Happy mid-afternoon to you, fantasy footballers. This is Nick Capozzi. This is Razzball Radio. This is the Fantasy Sports Network. And this handsome gentleman right here on my screen is Sky. Sky, he of no last name. What's up, Sky?
Not much. It's Friday. I'm ready to roll into this weekend and throw some more tickets into the Millie Maker for DraftKings.
I love it. I love it. So
Yeah.
you're looking very Pacific Northwest today.
Yeah, well, it's been very Pacific Northwest. It's literally been raining for about 2 straight days. Yeah, it's like flash flood all over the place right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, so
Mm.
I might have to move to Portland.
Is this because of Portlandia? Because that's really not a very good representation at
No,
all.
I'll tell you more about that later. But let's talk a little fantasy football right now. So let's hit up. Let's climb the steps to the Friday Observatory with Sky. He of no last name. So Sky, let's kick it up. We do this every Friday, by the way. We do what Sky is going to be observing over the weekend from his perch high atop Portlandia. Houston at Cleveland. What will you be spying in this game, sir?
Yes, I will be looking at Ryan Mallett and who is going to emerge as his go-to guy. Though it's not the easiest start to his career going to the dog pound, it's a decent defense, especially at home. It'll be interesting to note, at the very least, who Mallett targets the most on Sunday. When it could be frustrating for DeAndre Hopkins owners, prior to Ryan taking over, DeAndre had 31 targets over his last 3 games. Seemed like he was building a rapport with Ryan Fitzpatrick. So hopefully he'll keep that train rolling, or he's going to come in and completely muck it up. We'll find out.
I got a feeling it's actually going to be DeAndre. So if you're DeAndre Hopkins owner, don't stress tonight when you go out to the Post Bar and Grill in St. Louis to watch whatever it is you're going to watch, our sports bar of the day. But I will be watching that as well. I mean, it's obviously going to be key. I think Malik could be pretty good here, at least better than Fitzpatrick. There's some upside here. He's a guy I tried to go get in a couple leagues this week, especially in 2 QB leagues.
Yeah, understandable.
All right, the Minnesotas head to the Chicagos, who have been putrid. I mean, can this defense stop anybody?
That's a good question. After giving up back-to-back 50-point games, it's kind of hard to say whether they can. To be fair, they did hit the Patriots at the right time. They were gelling at the right time. And the Packers are an awesome offense. I mean, we know it's with Aaron Rodgers up there. They can go off at any time. But still, that game last weekend was a telling sign. That was after a bye week. So they literally had 2 weeks to prepare to get their booties handed to them. That was pretty sad. So with Minnesota in town, you'd think the defense could slow them down. But on the same hand, can the Vikings score 30-plus? I think they can. So I expect big things from Kyle Rudolph and Greg Jennings in this game.
All right, Denver at St. Louis. Let me guess what you're going to be watching. Who gets the carries at running back for Denver? Am I right?
Yeah,
I
you're
know
on.
you, Sky.
It's been a bit of a due to injuries, it's been a bit of a carousel back there. But at the very least, Fox has shown that he's willing to stick with a guy if he thinks he's doing well. So it's been a beautifully tragic mess back there. Let's just say.
You're so good with those word thingies. Earth to sky. Have we lost Sky to outer space?
You totally got choppy there. I have no
I got choppy. You're the one who got
Yes.
choppy. Are you back?
possibly.
All right, let's talk about Seattle heading to Kansas
Yes,
City.
I'm back. Yeah, what was that? Seattle to KC.
at Kansas City.
Yeah, we've got Brandon Murray being gone from the Seattle defense. How is that going to affect them? It seemed like the Hawks were just getting warmed up defensively. They've been a little rocky this year. They haven't had the same identity as they had last year. It felt like they were gelling over the last couple of weeks, but now they're going to KC. KC, we all know, loves to run the ball. It's going to be interesting to see how well Seattle takes or is able, if they're able to take Jamal Charles out of the game. I don't think they're going to be able to, and I think this is actually going to be a big Chiefs win, and I think it's going to be a lot of
Interesting. Huh. Okay, I wasn't seeing that, but interesting. All right, this is why I love football, because going into the season, we were making the argument, I think everyone was, that the AFC South was incredible. It might be the best division/conference in football.
Ooh.
Boy, that hasn't gone well. The putrid Atlantas take on the horrible Carolinas.
Ah.
What are you watching in this game? Is it worth watching? Might be the better question.
If as a fantasy owner, sure. I'm sure there'll be plenty of points to be scored as long as you don't own either defense, I think. But I think the bigger question is this will be a testing line of how bad can your O line be? Because if you can't stop the Atlanta pass rush, you can't stop anybody. Carolina got steamrolled on primetime on Monday. I believe they gave up 7 sacks, or was it even more than that? Cam just got completely demolished. So I'd look for the Panthers to really rely on the run game. Hopefully, for anyone who owns Jonathan Stewart, they sit Williams, D'Angelo. Probably not going to happen. But in either case, I think they're going to stay on the ground to protect Cam this game.
All right, let's watch for that. Cincinnati at New Orleans. Give me a quick take here on what you're watching. You got about 30 seconds, bro.
How bad is that teacher? Andy Dalton was terrible last time. He's 8-9 TD to INT ratio, and he's going to New Orleans. I think it's going to be pretty bad again.
Yep. All right, you know what's not bad?
Mm.
It's Friday. I love Fridays, man.
It's a good time.
It is a good time. You got any plans for the weekend? Like getting your hair cut, or going to a hair product store, or getting a mirror to actually get an idea of what your hair looks like?
Haircut, and that means I still am 2 weeks away from doing it.
Would you have your hair on a schedule?
I have my hair on a schedule that I never stick to. I say I need a haircut, I wait 2 weeks.
All right, real quick. I'm going to cheat here, real quick.
Huh.
Talk a little baseball, real fast.
Real fast, Giancarlo, $300 million contract. Does that happen? Holy Jesus.
Listen, I got something more important to ask you. Anthony Ghost gets traded from my Blue Jays to Detroit. They get Devin Thomas. I thought that was interesting. The Tigers system is weak, but Thomas is the top prospect there. You got a 15-second scouting report on Devin Thomas ready to go by chance?
It's the Detroit prospects, so I don't think it's that high of a thing.
Apparently he's got a really good bat, but the fielding is
Well, welcome to the Detroit Tigers infield.
Yeah, well, now the Toronto Blue Jays infield. He's only got to get past Isturis. So, anyway, sorry, footballers. We'll get right back to football. Right after this, we're going to go to break. This is Razzball Radio on the Fantasy Sports Network. See you in a second. Hey. Welcome back, Razzball Radio, Fantasy Sports Network. Nick Capozzi, Sky. He doesn't have a last name. I'm going to call you Sky Portland.
Just like I said, start calling me a symbol. I'm fine with that route.
I can't call you a symbol. Some people are listening to this on podcasts. By the way, you can catch us on Stitcher. You can catch us on RazzballRadio.com. Of course, you can catch us on the Fantasy Sports Network. We are talking from high up in the observatory, things that Sky is going to be scouting this weekend. What will you be watching when Tampa Bay heads to D.C.?
I'm looking for an RG3 resurgence day, and I think it's going to happen. I think we've got a Tampa Bay defense that's actually pretty decent on the ground, that forces the other team to throw, but doesn't really force them to throw poorly. So I think we're going to be watching RG3 throw all day. I think he's going to have over 300 yards, possibly 2 to 3 touchdowns. I think it's going to be a big day for Garcon for PPR leagues, and Deshaun Jackson's going to go off. I think he's going to have a huge day.
Everyone's big on Deshaun this week. Why not Pierre? Sort of anti-French sentiment?
Well, it is America. I mean, of course.
Right. Freedom fries. How about that? Okay.
There you
No, but just tell me, why do you think Jackson's going to go bananas?
Well, he's had over 100 yards, I believe, 7 games this year, if not at least 6. So he's had a solid floor, surprisingly, for a guy that you think is only going deep. And he's been in short routes, he's been doing well as well. So, and Tampa Bay just can't cover anyone. So I think he's going to bust a couple deep, and he's going to have a chance for a large game.
By the way, I killed it last week at DraftKings. Enter promo code Razzball when signing up if you want to kill it too in Daily Fantasy. Because I read your article, which comes out every Wednesday at Razzball.com, and I followed you to a T. You liked Rodgers. I took Rodgers. You liked matching up your quarterback with his top receiver. I took Jordy Nelson. It was a good week. I killed it, man. I got up around 200 points. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah. I had a 238er myself. So
come on.
I did. Mark Sanchez. I had a Panthers-Eagles stack. It was beautiful, except for LaShawn McCoy. I hate him.
I don't want to talk about him, but we might in a minute. Detroit goes to Arizona. What are you watching for?
Yeah, with Palmer out for the year, who becomes Stanton's go-to target? Not many remember at this point, but in the first three games, Michael Floyd did have two 100-yard receiving games with Stanton under center. That's not immeasurable. I would expect this game, given how good Detroit's defense
Who
is.
saw that
But
coming?
yeah, but I'll be really interested to see where the target distributions are this week because Stan's not very accurate, and with this defense, I don't think he's going to be hitting many of his receivers, but the targets will really matter to me. So I'm going to be looking for that. And sorry, Fitz owners, I don't think he's going to be seeing very much for the
I,
rest of the year.
I see your Michael Floyd, and I'm going to raise you a John Brown, and I'll tell you why. Stanton's
Yeah,
played 3 games. Well, he
yeah,
came in as a sub the other day. 'Cause I'm kind of cheating a bit. Stanton's
yeah.
played 3.15 games, and John
Hmm.
Brown has 3 touchdowns in those games. Just saying. Just
Yeah,
saying. Okay.
yeah.
Philadelphia, your hate for Shady McCoy is well documented, at least in the last 2 minutes. They're going up to Green Bay. What are you watching in this game?
Yeah, how much of a mirage was Mark Sanchez's game on?
Interesting.
I mentioned in my column this week that, though the fantasy numbers were there, and I always expect them to be there for an Eagles quarterback, it's a volume play every single week. Sanchez only connected on 54% of his passes against one of the more porous secondaries in the league with the Carolina Panthers. So traveling to Green Bay and facing a much tougher secondary, I don't think we see the same kind of big week from Mark. Keep in mind, here are quarterbacks who pass for over 54% of their passes so far this year. EJ Manuel, Geno Smith, Matt Castle. So 54% is not a good number in terms of connecting with your wide receivers. So I'd be QB2 leagues, two QB leagues, okay, but I'm probably going to be sitting them in one QB leagues.
All right. The soon-to-be San Antonio Raiders. That would just sound weird.
Well, they already got the Spurs colors though, so I
Well,
mean,
okay. I'm with you on that. But, you think San Antonio, you think, oh, we love the Spurs, and the Spurs are this team. And then
yeah.
you're talking about throwing the dysfunctional Raiders into that city. I don't think it's going to happen. They're going to stay in California. There's no question about that in my mind. But it's just funny to think about it.
I'm just picturing biker gangs heading from California to San Antonio for their football games. So that's what I'm picturing every single time. Like Sons of Anarchy every single time a home game happens in San Antonio.
Yeah, River Walk would never be the same. River Walk is in San Antonio, right? Did I get that right?
I don't know. I've never been there. I don't know anything about you Santones.
All right. I think it is, or it's Oklahoma City. They both have rivers. So the river in San Antonio. I think it's
The only
River Walk.
rivers I know is named Philip, and he plays in San Diego.
Well, okay, so the Oaktowners are heading to San Diego. I see what you did there, Sky, Portland. So what are you watching in this game?
Yeah. Did Andre Holmes die?
I don't think he died. I think he's on one of those shows where they reincarnate you as like a frog.
I don't think he's a fraud. I just don't think
Frog.
Oh, frog.
Did you say frog insurance? Yeah, fraud insurance. Frog insurance? Fraud insurance.
No, I don't think he's a fraud. I just don't. I mean, he's not an elite wide receiver. I don't think I've ever seen him as one anyway. But with his size, he's always been a great wide receiver 2 type to me. And I do think we're going to see a resurgence this week. San Diego's secondary has been a bit messy of late. And I think, the last time they were out, I do believe he's the one that had a 2-touchdown game. I wouldn't expect that, but I do think he has a reemergence game. Let's say aim for 75 yards, 6 catches, and maybe a touchdown.
Look, I think Holmes has a lot of upside. I think if Holmes had a decent quarterback who is playing behind a decent offensive line, he could actually be really good. I think
it's more offensive line. I do think Carr is legit going.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think so. I just think Oakland is not legit. It's a team that's in disarray.
The city or the team? Don't knock the city of Oakland, man. That's trouble you don't want.
A little from column A, a little from column B.
All right, we're going to come back. We're going to talk some start sits with Sky Portland of Razzball. Of course, you can follow him on Twitter at Sky_Razzball. Although now I think you should change it to Sky Portland. Just don't move. All right, we'll be back right after this. This is Razzball Radio. This is the Fantasy Sports Network. This is me telling you. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Friday Sky Day on Razzball Radio. Really should get some like pretty girls to sing that as opposed to me trying to do it. This is the Fantasy Sports Network. I'm Nick Capozzi. He's Sky Portland. We were talking start and sit. So on the top of your start list, excuse me, you've got Carlos Hyde. Now, I was talking with Nando DeFino on SiriusXM Fantasy Roto Experts on Tuesday, and we just do guys that are in the news. And I was saying I'm making a big push for Carlos Hyde. And I think we would have seen a lot more of Carlos Hyde if San Francisco had been more competitive thus far this year to rest up Frank Gore. Now, I'm waiting for Frank for the wheels to fall off. But I've been saying that for 5 years, and it hasn't happened. But I love Carlos Hyde so much. And I said I've been making plays for him in a dynasty league. And he goes, okay, what would you give up for Carlos Hyde? And I actually said Alshon Jeffrey, believe it or not.
Wow. That's tough for me dynasty wise, just with the way the league's going.
Yeah, and just so when we're talking dynasty, look, your wide receivers are gold, okay, but in this league, in this particular league, and I should have mentioned this to Nando before he started laughing at me, is that the way kind of running backs are valued, it's incredibly difficult. The amount of running backs you can start. So Hyde is that kind of value. And also, look, I love Jeffrey. Yeah, I probably, with hindsight, probably shouldn't have said that. But actually, I did say Jeffrey in picks because I do like to hoard picks. Okay, you're starting Carlos Hyde, though, this week.
Yeah, and basic some reason. Of the 64 total plays from scrimmage, the Seahawks ran the ball 45 times and finished with 350 rushing yards with both their quarterback and their starting running back going for over 100 yards apiece. And lost in all that shuffle, Christine Michael rushed for 71 yards on 4 touches.
Yeah.
The Giants cannot stop anyone on the ground right now. And, Frank Gore is not the young man that he used to be. I do think they will lean on him heavily, but I think there will be plenty to go around in this game. I think San Fran's going to try to mimic what Seattle did.
Yeah.
And so we're going to see probably a little bit more of a two-headed back approach than you would see from Seattle. Especially on the road, to keep Frank Gore rested.
Andre Holmes, you just, talked him down in the last segment. Now you're starting him this week. Que pasa?
No, I didn't talk him down. I said he is not going to be able to beat a strong secondary, which is exactly what Denver has and Seattle has, and that's where his 2 clunkers have come from. So, we went over this in the observatory. I do think he has a decent chance for at least, around 75 yards, but I think he also has an outside chance at over 100 for this game.
I think I should listen to you better. Stedman Bailey, you're starting him. That's interesting.
Yeah, I know. This is an extreme shot in the dark, deep league play here. With Sean Hill taking over, the one thing with Austin Davis is that he really truncated the passing game. He was going strictly
Whoa. We have an 8-letter limit on words.
He really diminished the passing game. They started really reining him in. They weren't letting him chuck it downfield, and it started becoming, chip downs to Cook. I think Sean Hill will spread the ball a little bit more. I think we'll see the wide receivers a little bit more involved, and I do think Stedman Bailey at this point is physically better than Kenny Britt. And he's also the guy that in his 3rd and final year, with Geno Smith throwing to him, had 25 touchdowns. Tavon Austin had 29 for his entire 4 years of college. So
we don't talk about Tavon Austin. He's on the bad list. Okay, real quick. Give me 15 seconds here. Why are you starting Kyle Rudolph?
Kyle Rudolph, Chicago Bears, worst in the league against tight ends.
ASJ, Austin Safarian Jenkins. Why are you starting him?
5th most passing touchdowns to tight ends. That's what the Washington Redskins give up.
All right, let's talk about guys you are firmly planting on your virtual bench. Trey Mason.
Yeah, Trey Mason, going back to the well here, said it last week. I'll say it again. He's not going to do anything against the top rushing defense, and when they fall behind, he doesn't get involved in the passing game. I just don't see the upside here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Brendan LaFell.
Vontae Davis is probably going to be covering him. He's probably going to be taken out of the game script by Belichick. We're probably going to see a lot of Areen, Gronk, and maybe even a little Edelman in there.
Edelman,
little man, whatever he is.
He's petite. All right, you made your argument against Arizona passing or Drew Stanton getting the ball into Fitz's hands. But you're actually going to sit him
Yeah, I don't see a reason. I think there are probably better plays unless you're really thin at wide receiver this week. Given Drew's inaccuracies and his inability to get it into his hands before, he has 7 targets, 3 catches, and 35 yards a game with Stanton under center. That's his average.
Okay. You're sitting Jordan Reed.
Yeah, I don't.
Don't tell T-Hole that.
No, I think he's a great talent, but I also just don't think this is going to be the game for him. The Bucks really aren't that bad defending the tight end, and like I said, I think it's going to be a big Deshaun Jackson day, and I don't think they're going to really be looking Reed's way.
Larry Donnell is also getting a seat on your bench.
Yeah, everyone talked about Patrick Willis being out and that being great for Jimmy Graham last week. He did have a great fantasy week, but he only averaged 7.6 yards per catch. San Francisco 49ers defense isn't that bad against tight end, even with Patrick Willis out. And Larry Donnell is not a game changer, so I'd rather be sitting him.
I love it. You know you should come next time in one of those Burt shirts from Sesame Street, because with that turtleneck thing you got going on, you kind of got a Burt thing with the tuft of hair.
I knew you were going to go there. You should have just said, "Hey, Burt."
Hey, real quick, we got about 30 seconds here.
Yeah.
Who's your top QB in daily fantasy? Because at DraftKings, I got to beat my man Ryan Hodge at Roto Hobo from Project Roto this week.
That's a loaded question. You paying up or you paying down? If you're paying up, I'm probably going to be leaning towards Tom Brady this week. If you're paying down, I'm going to be going with RG3. I think he has a solid enough floor to make up for it. And then if you're going crazy, Teddy Bridgewater.
That is crazy. Yeah, I read that in your column. What about Carlos Hyde? You made a good argument for the rushing attack. Would you start Carlos Hyde in daily league this week?
No, not in daily. I don't think that's something you can rely upon for him to get enough touches to be viable. You'd really hope for the game script if you're starting him to be Frank Gore getting it down to the 5, and then Carlos Hyde getting all those rushing touchdowns. I just don't see it happening.
I see it. No, I don't. All right. Thanks for joining us today on Sky Day Friday. High up from the observatory. It was a good day. I like you, Sky. I always have fun on Friday. We'll listen. Enjoy your football this weekend. Love it. Taste it. Soak it all in. We'll be back Monday with Jay Wrong, and we'll recap everything, and we'll poke all the holes in what Sky said today. This is Razzball Radio Fantasy Sports Network. See you Monday, guys.